It's July 26, 2016. Roger Federer announces he won't play for the rest of the season because of a knee injury. Earlier this year, he already skipped Roland Garros, and now he's gonna miss the US Open too. For the first time since 2000, Federer is going to end a season without winning a single ATP title. The announcement comes just 2 weeks before his 35th birthday, and for the first time, fans start wondering if the magic is gone. But Federer has other plans. His message is clear. I am as motivated as ever and plan to put all my energy towards coming back strong, healthy, and in shape to play attacking tennis in 2017. And it turns out that's not just PR talk. Very soon, we all see he really means it. But one player is going to be especially surprised by the new Roger Federer. For 10 years, Federer couldn't solve the Rafael Nadal puzzle. Then, at 35 years old, he came back and rewrote tennis history. This is the story of how Federer turned his biggest weakness into his ultimate act of redemption. This is the story of the greatest rivalry in sports history. For a while, those two were bigger than tennis itself. Their rivalry became a global spectacle. It was the perfect clash of opposites. Federer's elegance and effortless precision versus Nadal's fire and that unreal, never-give-up fighting spirit the game had never seen before. The media and sponsors didn't miss their chance. They turned it into a brand and gave it a name that stuck forever: Fedal. Roger and Rafa faced each other 40 times, 24 finals, 15 years, 2 legends, 1 rivalry. During the first decade of their rivalry, Nadal was completely dominant. It was basically a cat-and-mouse game. On clay, Federer looked helpless. From 2004 to 2014, they played 15 matches on clay, and Roger won only twice, in Hamburg and Madrid. His head-to-head at Roland Garros was especially brutal. By then, Nadal had already beaten him 5 times. But it was the 2008 final where Federer suffered the most humiliating loss of his career. Nadal completely demolished him, winning in just 1 hour and 48 minutes, giving Federer only 4 games the whole match. Even on faster surfaces, where he was supposed to have the edge, Rafa still led the head-to-head, 10 wins to Roger's 8. The ones that really hurt were those losses in 5 sets when Nadal took him down in that epic 2008 Wimbledon final, and then again a year later in the Australian Open final. So what was the problem? Well, against almost every other player, Federer had 2 big weapons he could always count on: his backhand slice and his net game. But against Nadal, it was pretty much useless. Why? Because Nadal's forehand could destroy that slice, and his passing shots could shut down Federer's net play completely. And you wouldn't be wrong to say that Rafa had the best forehand and the best passing shots the game has ever seen. So what was Nadal's game plan against Federer? Simple but effective. He kept hammering those heavy topspin forehands into Roger's one-handed backhand over and over, until Roger either missed or left the ball sitting up for Rafa to crush. That was especially deadly on clay, where the topspin jumps the highest. Match after match, it felt like Roger was playing the same way, never really adjusting to Rafa's game. He wanted to beat Nadal on his own terms, without changing his tactical approach. Tony Nadal, Rafa's uncle and coach, later said, "In the early years, when I talked to Rafael, I would always tell him, Federer doesn't play too smart against you. He's just not aggressive enough." And what was Roger's response to that? You guessed it, nothing. There were even periods where he didn't have a coach at all. The public used to say he didn't even need one, because what could you possibly teach a guy who's already tennis perfection? Well, that perfection just wasn't working against Nadal. Even though their styles were completely different, which should have made their matches unpredictable, in reality, Nadal's game was a perfect matchup against Federer. He had exactly the kind of game that could expose all of Roger's weaknesses. And just when it seemed like nothing would ever change, Federer entering his mid-30s, Nadal still in his prime, something totally unexpected happened. Federer flipped the script. So what exactly happened? Let's break it down. The first big change came when Federer switched from a 90 to a 97-inch frame, a small adjustment that made a huge difference. It gave him a bigger sweet spot, so he could handle Nadal's high-bouncing forehand way better. It also added more power to his backhand and finally let him hit through the ball instead of just slicing it defensively. Then came the second big move. Federer brought in Stefan Edberg, an absolute tennis legend, to be his coach. Under Edberg, Roger started playing a more attacking style. He came to the net more, kept the points short, and even came up with that wild tactic called the Sabre, sneak attack by Roger, where he'd rush the opponent right after the return. It was bold, it was creative, and it completely changed his game. But that wasn't all. The real key might have been his mental reset. After a 6-month injury layoff in 2016, Federer came back at the 2017 Australian Open looking fresh. That tournament became a turning point in their rivalry. Melbourne, final, 5th set. Nadal leads 3-1. It looks like Rafa's about to win yet another marathon battle. But then, Federer shows something new. A different kind of strength, the one he would later sum up perfectly. I told myself to play free and brave. He keeps playing fearless tennis, and no matter how much Rafa keeps targeting that backhand, Roger doesn't lose faith. He starts taking the ball early, blasting those aggressive, flat backhands. And his court position? He's no longer backing up. He's holding the line, staying close to the baseline. At 3-2 for Nadal, deuce, Federer steps in and rips a backhand cross-court winner. You can see it on his face, that new spark of confidence. On the breakpoint, Rafa keeps pounding every shot to Roger's backhand, but this time it just doesn't work. Federer breaks back, 3-3. Then comes a lightning-fast service game from Roger. 2 aces, 1 clean winner. Game to love, 4-3. Next, Nadal steps up to serve again, but Federer's all over him. At 40-all, they play an unreal point. One of the best the Australian Open's ever seen. More breakpoints. Rafa keeps going after that backhand, but Roger flicks his wrist and hits a brilliant short angle for another break. 5-3. Federer reels off 5 straight games to take the set 6-3. And then that priceless, childlike look on Federer's face at the end. We haven't seen him celebrate a win with that kind of pure emotion in a long, long time. That win ended a 10-year drought against Nadal in Grand Slams. Later in the 2017 season, Roger won their next 3 matches in Indian Wells, Miami, and Shanghai. And get this, he didn't drop a single set. He didn't even need a tiebreak. He finished the year undefeated against Nadal at 36 years old. Total domination. In 2018, they didn't face each other at all. Then, in 2019, they played their last 2 matches. In the Roland Garros semi-final, Nadal showed he was still the king of clay, and he absolutely wiped Federer off the court. 6-3, 6-4, 6-2. The stage of their final battle? Wimbledon, London. The last Nadal, playing on the biggest stage in tennis. A perfect ending to the sport's most beloved rivalry. Both came out swinging, no breaks early on, and the first set is decided in a tie-break. At 3-3, Federer rips a perfect forehand winner to grab a mini break and then converts his first set point, 1-0 Federer. But Rafa doesn't back down. He hits right back in the second set, 6-1. We're all square again. In the third set, Federer gets a chance to break. They play an amazing rally. It's his first break of the match, and that's all he needs. He seals the set 6-3. The fourth set plays out in a similar way. Roger gets the only break, and at 5-4, he steps up to serve for the match. On his fifth match point, he finally closes it out. Another win over Nadal in what will turn out to be their final showdown. At the end, for one last time, a handshake full of respect at the net between two legends who defined an era. It's still kinda crazy when you think about it, that Federer in his mid-30s managed to completely flip the whole dynamic against Nadal, who was 5 years younger and still in his prime. After switching to the new racket, Federer once again showed why so many people called him the most naturally gifted player of all time. His hand-eye coordination is just unreal, and his footwork and technique are insanely precise. If any other player tried to pull this off, they'd make a ton of errors. But Roger? Nah, he made it look easy. Nadal's biggest strength was his defense. He'd run his opponents side to side until they finally broke down and made a mistake. What made him extra tough was that lefty topspin. It was a nightmare. But once Federer started hitting flatter shots and stepping inside the court, everything changed. He took time and angles away from Nadal, and that completely killed Rafa's defense rhythm. It forced him to play a more aggressive style. And when the match turned into a battle of who can attack better, not who can defend better, Federer's got the edge every time. Nobody plays high-percentage attacking tennis like he does. He pushed things even further. When returning from the ad side, Roger would often go after Rafa's forehand. That move stopped Rafa from getting to his favorite spot on the court, where the lefty loved to crush those inside-out forehands. Tony Nadal later said, "Everything changed in 2017 when Federer started to hit the ball faster on the return." To be fair to Rafa, you gotta say, in the second half of his career, with all those knee injuries and just getting older, he simply wasn't as fast as he used to be. Because of that, he had to kind of adjust his game. He started relying a lot more on his backhand. You didn't see that same crazy forehand defense anymore, the kind where he'd sprint across the court and somehow pull out those impossible shots. That took a ton of energy, and with his body slowing down, it just wasn't sustainable. And another big thing, after Federer implemented changes to his game, they only played once on clay. If they'd met more on that surface, no doubt Nadal would have still ruled there. But that doesn't take anything away from Federer. What he did was seriously impressive. He reinvented his whole game, tweaked his style, fixed his flaws, and leveled up mentally. And because of that, we got a brand new wave of excitement in what's probably the most iconic rivalry ever. Not just in tennis, but in all of sports.